Hello everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to showcase some new products that have come to Truly Holistic. And they are the Quantum Bands, the Be Love and Peace Pendant, and the Neutrality glasses. Yeah, glasses. So what I'll actually showcase first is the glasses, which are those there. All right, I'll put them on. Right. Pretty gnarly glasses. Now, for a long time, I've had a lot of people come up to me, talking about, and we've worked on eye issues, eye problems. And when it's always come to, like a lot of my clients, right, we do the clearing work and so on, and they're very invested, want to be very empowered in regards to their body, right, and being very involved, participating in how they can support the process of the healing and obviously achieve the outcome they're looking for. And I've never really had a product specifically to place on the eyes. And so it's something that I've always, back in my awareness, that I've always wanted to make a product, and now we've been able to make it. And really excited about it, because you can see a bit of a multiple layer in regards to the tensor rings, the tensor technology that we use for the eye. And of course, we've even put little light beads here too, which we've got crystal powders that we can anchor other energetics in, and especially in regards to working on the auditory system, because where these beads go, they go back in this part, the temporal aspect of the head and the skull, but also in regards to your auditory system. So what the Neutrality glasses incorporate is, we've got the conception geometry of two overlapping circles at the front, which are cut to the cubit measurement, or the energetics of the infinite cubit, which I'll just showcase here. So you can see the word infinite on there, which is, for anyone that doesn't know anything about tensor technology, in the tensor tech community, a tensor ring or tensor product is made out of a specific cubit measurement, which is what is when the wire is twisted through a drill, it's cut to a specific measurement, and that measurement will then be the anchor that facilitates a certain bunch of energetics or energetic through. So this one is in cubit measurement you'll get nowhere else other than Truly Holistic. And this infinite cubit is what is connected to your heart, and the heart is facilitating what you are, right, as an infinite, authentic soul consciousness. And so a big part of our eyes is, it's part of the matrix of our place of attention, right? That triangle pyramid, the two eyes to see, the one eye to know. And this is why this is so important to our experience here, is that we're not just experiencing reality, we're forging reality. And the number one step that we make to forge our reality, right, how we apply our energy, is through our attention, our place of attention, right, which is connected to observing reality. This is why quantum physics has always said that for reality to be here, it requires an observer, because the observer is using their place of attention to create it, to forge it, right? And there's an old expression, right, where attention goes, energy flows, which implies that what we focus on, what we look on, we invest our energy into it, and more importantly, we attach our energy to that thing to allow it to influence us, right? So it's a very key, pivotal component of why we're here. Okay, so we wanted that connect into the heart, right? Because ultimately, what do people want their experience to become? Their greatest desires, which is always associated with the heart, right? It's our heart's desires. So we want to connect the heart into how we then apply our attention, right? So essentially looking through our eyes to forge an experience that reflects and aligns to our heart's desires. That's what everybody wants, right? So that's why we did that. Actually, in fact, it's the bigger ring, this one here, that's the infinite cubit. Now, the two overlapping rings that are then at the front of that are of the conception geometry, And the conception geometry is all about balance, because when you bring two rings and overlap each other, you'll see it creates the Vesica Pisces, right? Which it looks like the eye, right? And the Vesica Pisces is the divine feminine, which is all about balance. Okay. Now, when we are in our heart, right, following the heart-filled knowing pathway, which is our ability to go with the flow, be in the flow, we provide a state to our body that allow the body to heal you, right? Yes, the body needs a particular environment or state that facilitates all the tools, right? The energy, the flow, to allow the body to do what it knows to do best, right? There's scientists all around scratching their head, looking at, hey, every 7 years, the body's renewing its own cells and doing all these wonderful things. Why they're scratching their head? Because they're going, well, why do we die then? Why do we have all these problems? Now, it's not that the body doesn't know what to do. Why those things happen is because we don't continuously provide our natural state that facilitates the materials and the tools to allow the body to do it. Right. So those two overlapping rings is providing to the eye a state or environment to bring what is in balance, which we call duality energy, back into balance. So there we now allow the momentum of attraction for the eye and for the body to heal the eye. Okay. Now that's also made with the earth element or activation qubit energetics, which gives a grounding effect, right? This is when we go barefoot on the earth, we ground ourselves. What seems to happen? Our body goes more into an anti-inflammatory state. It's going into a state that is allowing the body to remedy and heal itself, right? So if we go onto the map, going back there, it's in the green there, the earth element, the activation qubit, which again is very heart-centered. It's why we call it heart-centered, because centered means balance, right? So wonderful, right? And I've played around with these, and man, it was powerful. I just had them on for a few minutes, and I was like, I had to take them off. So when you get this product, you're going to feel things changing and quickly, and you might want to take them off for a bit and then just slowly build up the time you wear them. So there's nothing like this product out there. There are other people that use tensor technology to make glasses, but not to the power that these facilitate. So you'll see these Neutrality glasses on my product store at trulyholistic.net/products/ go and check it out. Okay, to the next one, we're gonna also, just before we go to the next one, there's another product that we've had for a while, which is called the Insight Pendant, which is a triquetra. And this, again, why I'm bringing this up is because this incorporates what we talked about, our place of attention, right? The two eyes to see, the one eye to know, which is that, right? Now, this product brings through the energetics to activate, awaken the pineal, right? The third eye, right? Because generally us as humans, the way we're conditioned out of mind, thought, mentality is we follow the whole flawed belief of seeing is believing, right? When really our visible sight and what we see with the eyes see is 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum of light. Man, we don't even see close to 1% of reality here, right? When we get this more activated and more into play with those two, then it showcases the rest of the 99.9965%. Okay, and it's not through seeing, it's through feeling. So these other senses get heightened to give us a greater understanding of what's going on. And this is what this product does. So why I'm bringing this up is because these are two that you can complement with each other. Wear this as a pendant, and while you've got these on over your eyes, I would say they would enhance both. So they are a great combination. And I just wanted to mention that. Next one, the Be Love Peace Pendant. Now, why? Now, straight away, you'll notice it's a double twist. Looks cool, right? And why we did it as a double twist, because generally our products, when we use a double twist, has a broadcasting ability, right? So when we have a product that is like the glasses, they are all singular twist, it creates a column, right? So you've got a ring and it creates a column of light. So, all right, so let's see if I've got a great one we can showcase with it. We'll just use that, right? And if it's it's a single twist, and if you put it like that, it creates a 0 point where it creates a column of light that side and it comes out that side. Okay, so it can't go out, it just creates that column. When we twist the wire, so double twist it, sorry, it creates still a column, right? So in that fact, it's creating a column of light that's going out that way and that way, but it's also got an ability to go outward, broadcast. Okay. Now, why it's called to be love and peace, okay, is because this product is about you being a representation of what you authentically are, and what you authentically are is love and peace. Okay. So the energetics that are used, one of those rings is the infinite cubit, right? Again, it's got that broadcasting ability, but also it's connected to our infinite nature, which is facilitated by the heart, right? Which is the heart facilitates what we call unconditional love, okay? Which is felt, right? There's a saying, right? Love is only a feeling, right? And we'll get to that in a minute, because why I'm saying that is a lot of people perceive love as a thought, and that's not true love, and we'll get to that. The other ring presents the ease cubit, and I'll just bring that up again, which you've got down there on the bottom branch, ease cubit. Now, ease is another word for comfort, but also for to feel at peace with yourself. Okay. Now, that's very important, to be at peace with yourself. Because you hear about, oh, we need peace in the world, right? We need to get rid of these wars. It doesn't start out there. It starts from within, and then we project it out into the world. Okay. I often say to my clients, right, in every moment you exist here, the constant is you. You can't get away from you. You can't escape you. So get along with you, right? Through my years of doing clearing with people, when we find that the instance where we do a few sessions of clearing, and we find it really hard to try and gain that momentum. Like, they feel great at the end of the session, but the next time they come, they're down in the dumps again. It's like we've taken one step to take 3 steps back. I know a lot of people watching and listening will completely understand that analogy. What we tend to find with those individuals, and what they express, they get to this realization. They didn't tell me at the start, but after a few sessions, they get to a point and they say, what we ultimately find out, they don't love themselves. Okay. So picture this. Your constant environment for every moment you experience is you. You're the constant. And you don't like that. You don't love that. That's a problem. Okay. Because the thing is, as humans, we're taught to use mind, thought, mentality in the way we perceive, and we respond to what we perceive, right? Which is the process to try and understand that. And from there, we disconnect ourselves from our heart, and more importantly, from what we authentically and infinitely are, a soul consciousness, which is facilitated by an open heart. There are things called a person that has a good heart, but you can be a good heart and still be up here, right? Because you're perceiving love and to be good, which is a polarity made up of duality. And the heart doesn't play the game of duality. It's all about shifting things in the balance, which we call neutrality, right? Neutrality is love in its true, authentic form, which is what people would call unconditional love, right? But when we see love from here, right, it's jumped a step. It never enabled or allowed or put any importance or priority on the first step of love is a love for oneself. From here, we believe love is something we get from something else outside of ourselves, or from something outside of ourselves, which means we have to become dependent on it being there to have love. And if it's not there, then we don't have love. And love is what sustains us. And the original source of love doesn't even come from there. It exists inside of you. Okay. We came here, our purpose in coming here, our original purpose of a life, which is connected to a spiritual thing that's called ascension, right? To fulfill our original soul's purpose. We came here as the soul, and the soul is facilitated from the heart. This is why when the vehicle was being built, right, which is the body, it was an empty shell originally, right, when the embryo was being formed. The first organ that is formed is the heart. And it formed outside of the body and made its way in. Why? Because that's the spaceship that brought you what you are, because you're not really the body. You're the one that is there to drive it, which is a soul consciousness. Okay. The soul is facilitated through you accessing the heart, opening the heart, allowing the heart to lead you. But in the early years, when you are born, you become one brick of many bricks called humanity, and humanity wants things of you. So therefore, you go through a curriculum and becoming the human, and that curriculum is built in you being mind, thought, mentality, not being in the heart, not being true to your authenticity, but to follow on with the conditioning, what you were told to become. And from that point, you perceive love in a conditional way, not unconditional. Okay. Which is that if I want love and I need to gain it from something else other than me. That's a big problem, because we came here originally to be a representation of what we are and who we are, which is love, to be love, to be peace, not to seek it, not to search for it, not to gain it from outside, anyone outside, but to be it. And quite often, an analogy I use, so it's a wonderful pen, analogy I quite often use with love to people, right? Because a lot of people generally come to me for healing problems, but they don't realize that I actually work with clients on relationships. I work on clients to try and reconnect themselves to self-love, to have love for others in a relationship, their marriage. Okay. And it's to get them out of this reliance on conditional love. An analogy I use is, and stay with me here, is a cake. Okay. And I go, see the cake, right? That whole cake, right? The cake that's what you bring to the table is love. Well, that's your role. That you bring the cake. The way we're taught and conditioned is no, the cake is, we either have the cake or not because we're dependent on gaining love from something or someone else. With a cake. Now, the icing on the cake is the love we then gain from other people. Now, that is significant because it's the realization that our main priority is not a dependency or addiction to get that love or peace from something or someone else. We provide that, and then whatever they bring is the icing on the cake, which means we don't fall for the trap of dependency or addiction, which of course leads down another pathway of destruction and self-sabotage for a lot of people. So I always say that, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was saying, ultimately what kills us is the inner conflict within that we can't seem to resolve. It is. Because we create reality. So whatever's happening here, we project that out because it all starts from here. Okay? So I was talking to someone about it, and I go, you look at longevity, right? People that have lived a long, long time. And the general consensus is that we live long because we eat well and we drink well, right? We eat clean and all that stuff. But the longevity studies don't show that. The people that have lived the longest, a lot of the people, they often smoked a lot. They often drank all their life. All these things we consider as vices. So it's not really about the substances we bring in from outside of ourselves. It's about ourselves. It's how we perceive it. Where are we at, right? Because I often say, smoking, drinking alcohol, taking cannabis, all these sorts of things. It's not about the substance. It's about the reason why we reach out for the substance. It's the underlying intention of why we decide to do those things. Okay, which is generally we're trying to escape ourselves because we can't deal with the inner conflict we have. We can't face ourselves, or we can't address ourselves. Okay, so in that case, it's not really the substances, isn't it? It's ourself. So what we see regularly in those people that live a long life, they 100, 110, 120, and they smoked all their life, ate chocolate all their life, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, did cannabis, is because they did those things and they were not conflicted about taking those things or doing those things. They enjoyed it. They just accepted it. They weren't at conflict with themselves. Okay, very important to know. So we made a product, right? Love it. Today I'm not wearing it, but most days I'm wearing this. I love this because you want to be fully empowered. If you want love, you got to be it. If you want happiness, you got to be happiness. If you want to be peace, you've got to be a representation of it. You've got to be a role model of it. And for all you parents out there, that's what we've got to be, right? Because our children, they might be as the role of human, right? I'm their father, or you might be their mother, and they're your son or daughter. But inside them, really authentically what they are an energy signature in their own right. They are a soul that needs to lead and forge a reality that's based on their individuality. So the best thing you can ever do as a parent is be a role model, right? Not to force things onto them, because that might mean you're getting in the way of their own path, but to be a role model, right? To provide an environment of love by being a representation of it. Providing an environment, home environment of peace by being a representation of peace, right? So you're not teaching them to become dependent on those things from things around them, for things to fall into place for them to have that. No, to show that they can provide it themselves, to be self-sufficient. Very important, right? So be love, be peace, pendant. It's on the website. Go and check it out. Last one. The quantum bands. Before we go to quantum bands, again, I showed the pendant there. Here's another photo of the pendant. And here's a photo of on my wrists there of the quantum bands. Right, so the clasps. Right, so you'll see the clasps, and they're actually full tensor rings, but bent back on itself to make a clasp. Okay, and you wear them on your wrist like that. Made with a 14 gauge single twisted wire, so they're very light. So when you got them on, it feels like you got nothing on your wrist. So that I know that some people like the thicker, heavier feel, and we do have bracelets of that kind. But some people like just the kind that are nice and light on the wrist. So we call them quantum bands. They're really clasps. Now we call them quantum bands because they bring through the quantum qubit. And the quantum qubit's a relatively new qubit that we've been facilitating at Truly Holistic. And it's really facilitating more quantum energy. And we obviously come originally from the quantum. Quantum means light, but also quantum means everything, right? Which is a realization that life doesn't happen to us, we forge life, right? And that's a great place to be, because if we believe that life's always happening to us, we're opening ourselves to a pathway of poor me, bad luck me, it's all because of these things, these variables that come in and out, I've got no control on this sort of thing. Where if you just, embrace the fact that I'm forging my reality, which I need to be more self-aware of me and take it upon it myself, take responsibility on myself, and become like, another thing I've got to be aware of. No, embrace it. Life is here to embrace the journey. It's not about getting A to B, and that's all it is, from a beginning to an end. It's to enjoy the process. I quite often say to my clients that you can't heal going through suffering, right? So, an example of that is people often go the dietary route. I'm not against the dietary route, but a lot of people that do the dietary route, they don't realize that them embracing and loving that process of what they're eating and what they're doing is just as important as the thing they're putting in their mouth. Right? For example, as I say, you can't heal going through suffering. A lot of people will change to a diet where they've got to eat all the things they don't like and not eat the things they do like, which means that, hey, I'm eating a more cleaner diet, but I'm really not enjoying the experience. And, which then leads them, I want that thing that I do like. And then they grab a candy or a lolly or a chocolate, and then they get all guilt and shameful about the fact that they did that because they should be on the clean diet. It's a conflicted process, will never lead to healing. You got to embrace it. You got to enjoy the process. Okay. So these bands bring through a lot of quantum energy, a lot of levity. And they're actually a product that I really recommend for a lot of people these days, because our automated setting as a human, especially, we're conditioned to use mind, thought, mentality. And the byproduct of that is an unregulated nervous system. So this is why so many people are existing today where they've never had an experience of having an actual regulated, balanced nervous system, right? When we've got an unregulated nervous system, what that means is the mind is extending its will, its control through the nervous system, which then affects everywhere in our body, because the nervous system is a systemic system, which means it's connected and bound to every aspect component of our body, right? So it creates a detrimental effect on our physiology, which leads to a lot of illness and a lot of problems. In fact, it's truly holistic. Whenever people come about all sorts of different problems, it might be a breathing problem, right, which is the respiratory system, digestive problem, skin problem. That is really a secondary issue. The primary issue, unregulated nervous system. And it's just being chosen to be expressed through the skin for one person, through constipation for one person, through difficulty breathing with another person. But the cause is in the nervous system. And the nervous system, is unregulated because that person is providing a state that doesn't support them. We've got to be in our heart, not up here. Okay, so when we are up here and when we do have an unregulated nervous system, I bring this up, we facilitate not the white substance there, which is the quantum energy, which is what we are, right, which is facilitated, which we call light, right, facilitated through the heart. We facilitate the darkness, which is the void, because the mind represents the void. This is why one of the most common mentalities that a human has, because we're all taught, all of us, be mind, thought, mentality driven, mind orientated, is a mentality of lack. Because lack means nothingness, and what does the void mean? Nothingness. You become a representation of it, right? Which then leads you to never-ending search and seek, because you believe you always lack. You never lacked, because when you facilitate the right pathway and get in your heart and facilitate the quantum, do you know what the quantum means? Yeah, it means light, but it means everything, which means you have everything you need. Never lacked. You were just hoodwinked into using a pathway that's not you. You're becoming something you're not. Now, this leads to unregulated nervous system, but it also facilitates consciousness or intelligence that is parasitic in nature, right? Because they come from a place they have nothing, and they need energy, the type of energy that comes from the quantum, to evolve itself, but it doesn't have it, so it needs to latch onto something that does. That's us, because we come from the quantum, not from the void. We're not the dark. We are the light. We're not the light and the dark. We are the light. Okay. The only people that believe that we're the light and the dark is if you're perceiving reality out of mind, thought, mentality, right? And follow, we're mind, body, spirit. But even in that, right, mind, body, spirit, the mind and spirit, which is soul, are two separate things, right? They're not the same. Okay. And everyone knows that, hey, when we die, we become this ghost spirit because that's what we always were, right? The body doesn't come with us because that's not what we authentically and fully always are. The mind and the mentality characters don't go with us because it's not what we are. Again, we are the spirit, we are the soul. That's what we are every single moment, whether we're existing here or not. Okay, and that's the quantum on that ascension map. Right? So when you wear the quantum bands on your wrists, you're bringing in a flooding of that quantum light energy in particularly into your nervous system. And this is how it's used to try and get your nervous system into a regulated space, but also allow your nervous system to familiarize itself with the quantum, because for years, right? Because this is why the conditioning you learn as a human from 1 to 7 years of age is so important, because most humans carry that on for a lifetime, and in many lifetimes. This is why we're not ascending, because we're following the mind's will, and the mind is not what we are. So we don't fulfill the reason why we're here. We come back over and over again, which is reincarnation, because we're not fulfilling what the purpose of what we are, which is a soul that comes from the quantum. Okay. So as I say, the void for quantum facilitates an intelligence consciousness we call a soul, right? That's what we are. What the mind presents, right, which is the void, brings through all this intelligence that's not us. And one of them you'll know as cancer. Because what does cancer do? Cancer is parasitic, right? It robs you of all your nutrients. And nutrients is energy, quantum light energy, frequencies. So therefore, it evolves itself and it compromises you, right? So for people that are going through cancer or have in the past, quantum bands are very important, very essential. That and any of my products, saw that facilitate the fire energetic, and you can see that on here, which is the soul aspect on this map. Very expansive energy, and it burns all attachments to the void and these intelligence that come from there, which includes cancer. It gets things moving and flowing in the body very quickly, because cancer is due to a toxic body, and it's toxic because the state of the body's lost its flow. It's in a state of accumulation and storage, and that becomes toxicity. You need huge amounts of flow in the body, right, to purge and detoxify the body, and the fire element will do it. And the quantum bands will bring more of that quantum energy to bring that light into the nervous system. Because a lot of the times when somebody goes into remission, right, in regards to cancer, right, that's more science and oncology looking at a cellular or tumor level. But the intelligence or consciousness of cancer itself, do you know what it does? It hides out in your nervous system, and it waits for the right time to express itself again. And then lo and behold, that person gets cancer again. And they might get it in a different area of the body, right? But it doesn't matter, because, as I said, the nervous system is systemic. It will find a way to express itself in a different area of the body. Oncology will go, oh, that's a different cancer because now it's in your digestive system instead of your respiratory. It's the same. Cancer's cancer. Okay. So really, really great product, the quantum bands. Now, it's not just for people that got cancer, right? It's really for all of us, because we're being taught to be up here all the time, right? Away from our home. Our home, the home we carry everywhere we go, as long as we open it and access it, is the heart, right? Because it connects us back to the quantum, where we come from, right? And all of us were taught to not be there, but be up here, which means our nervous system loses its balance, unregulated, and it's now becoming an extension of the void instead of the quantum. So we all need these. Now, caution. When you wear these, you're going to notice a lot of changes occurring, because, again, we've had many goes at this, many lifetimes of going at this, and we tend to make the same mistake. So this might be the first time in many lifetimes that your nervous system is now becoming an extension, a carrier of the quantum, of the light instead of the void. And you might go through a few things. I did. Okay, it was incredible. I literally felt like this. Not a woman, not a woman, but I was the embodiment of light itself. I was exuding light through every pore of my being, because the nervous system is so integral to our wellness and vitality of the body, but also a connection to what we are. And when you can allow that wiring of our computer, our body, it's going to transform a classical body, classical computer into a quantum-based computer through enabling the nervous system to be an extension of the will of our heart, of our soul, to bring the light through it. Okay. Quantum bands, really great product. Anyway, they are the new products I wanted to talk about in this video. Very exciting. I've experienced them all, had great effects and great benefits from them. Go and check them out at my product store, trulyholistic.net/products/ where you can get the Neutrality glasses, you can get the Be Love and Peace pendant, and you can get the quantum bands as well. Go and check them out. Now, the quantum bands, you'll see this under the title Custom Made Pendants on the product store, where there's a few options, but you'll see the Be Love and Peace pendant. That's got its own page. You'll see that easily, Neutrality glasses. For the quantum bands, I feel they might be under the clasp-based bracelets. Again, I'm not sure, 100% sure, but you'll see them on the product store. So go and check them out. Please remember to like this video, share on all your social media platforms if people who are interested in this would like to hear this. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel, please. It really helps me out to get the message out there. This is essential for all of us in regards to the reason we're here to fulfill and our purpose in being here, to ascend, to be well and vital every day of our lives. Until next time, catch you later.